The crystal glass slipped from Elara's trembling fingers, shattering against the marble floor of Victor Kang's penthouse dining room. For 43 days, she had been invisible, the perfect maid, gliding through his fortress-like home, while searching desperately for the ledger that could free her father from prison. But tonight, everything changed. She had found a photograph hidden in Kang's study, an image that made her blood run cold. Her father, Professor Silas Park, supposedly an innocent man framed for embezzlement, stood smiling beside a younger Victor Kang like old friends. The discovery shattered her focus, and now, as she knelt to pick up the broken glass, she cut her palm. Blood welled up bright and red, and when she looked up, she found Kang's dark eyes studying her with the focused intensity of a predator who had just noticed something wrong with his prey. Hello guys, welcome to my channel where interesting stories of family loyalty and dangerous choices are told. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe, share it with your friends, and drop your thoughts in the comments section below. She retreated to the staff quarters, her heart hammering with fear. Her father had been a respected economics professor before his arrest for stealing $15 million from the Chun Group's charitable foundation. The evidence had been overwhelming, the shame had destroyed their family, and her mother had died of a heart attack 6 months into his sentence. But her father had written one cryptic letter, mentioning a ledger hidden in the dragon's lair that could prove his innocence. It had taken Elara 8 months to figure out he meant Kang's penthouse, and getting hired as a maid with her master's degree in financial analysis had required falsified documents and every ounce of courage she possessed. Now, after over a month of searching, she had found that damning photograph instead of salvation, and she didn't know what it meant. The summons came at 3 in the morning. Leo, Kang's head of security, knocked on her door with mechanical precision and escorted her through silent corridors to the soundproofed study on the top floor. Kang sat behind his massive desk, impeccably dressed in black, looking less like a CEO and more like exactly what he was, a predator in human form. He knew everything. Her real name, her father's identity, her mission. He had known, possibly from the beginning, watching her search his home like a scientist observing an interesting specimen. "Are you going to kill me?" she asked, surprised by how steady her voice sounded. "That depends entirely on what you do in the next 5 minutes," Kang replied. Then he told her the truth she hadn't wanted to hear. Her father hadn't embezzled the money. He had been framed by someone high up in Kang's organization, someone who had been stealing systematically for years. Her father had discovered the theft and come to Kang for help 7 years ago because he knew, somehow, that Kang controlled the criminal empire behind the Chun Group's legitimate facade. He had wanted justice, but the real thief had discovered the investigation, planted evidence, and had her father arrested before Kang could intervene. Kang offered her a devil's bargain: use her financial analysis skills to help him find the mole who framed her father, and he would provide the evidence to exonerate Professor Park and have him released. Refuse, and she would be arrested for espionage, while her father died in prison. She had no choice, no real choice at all, so she accepted. The transformation happened overnight. She went from being a maid to sitting in Kang's private conference room wearing a tailored suit, analyzing 5 years of financial records, searching for patterns of theft. She lost herself in the numbers, building spreadsheets and flowcharts, tracking $47 million that had been skimmed from multiple accounts and moved through shell corporations. Her analytical mind found what others had missed: the signatures and patterns that revealed someone's methodology. They identified 7 suspects, and she built profiles on each one, looking for the crack that would reveal guilt. Over the weeks, something strange and dangerous developed between them. Kang was brilliant in ways that both fascinated and terrified her. He understood human nature with surgical precision and taught her how his empire worked. The networks of legitimate businesses concealing illegal money, the politicians and judges on his payroll, the violence underpinning everything like a foundation of bones beneath a beautiful house. He told her casually that he had killed people, said it the way someone might mention a dentist appointment, and she understood that whatever humanity he possessed existed in some locked compartment separate from his work. But there were moments when that compartment opened, like the night she broke down crying over a photograph of her parents from before the arrest, when they had been happy and whole. Kang found her and sat beside her in silence for nearly an hour, not offering platitudes, but providing steady, solid presence that felt almost protective. Then he told her about his own father, a violent drunk who beat his mother, and how at 12 he had decided to become something that could never be beaten or controlled. In becoming invincible, he had become the kind of man his father was, just with better suits and more sophisticated weapons. The self-awareness in his voice, the terrible honesty that stripped away all pretense, made everything more complicated, because monsters weren't supposed to be capable of regret or loneliness. One night, working late in his study, Elara made a discovery that changed everything. Cross-referencing travel records with financial transactions, she found encrypted emails from 4 years ago discussing the professor and leverage. Her hands shook as she pieced together the truth. David Chen, vice president of international acquisitions, had tried to recruit her father as an accomplice years before the arrest. Her father had refused and started building a case against Chen, so Chen had framed him efficiently, using the evidence her father had collected against him. But there was something worse in those emails. Her father had created the ledger she had been searching for, a comprehensive record of all the Chun Group's illegal activities as insurance against Chen. The threat of that ledger being released to authorities had forced Kang and Chen into a tense stalemate for years, neither able to destroy the other. Her father hadn't been an innocent victim. He had been a player in a dangerous game, and the ledger she thought would clear his name would actually implicate him as someone who had willingly documented organized crime. Everything she believed was wrong, built on lies or partial truths more deceiving than outright deception. Kang entered the study behind her, moving with that particular silence, like a shadow given form. "You found it," he said quietly. "You knew," she whispered, still staring at the screen showing her father's betrayal. "You knew what I would find." "Yes," he admitted simply. Before they could speak further, gunfire shattered the silence. David Chen was making his move, bringing the Zhao syndicate with him, at least 20 men with military-grade weapons breaching the lower floors. They weren't just there to steal the ledger, but to eliminate Kang and take over the entire organization. The next 15 minutes existed in a blur of violence and terror as they fought through smoke-filled corridors past dead security guards, through rooms now destroyed by bullets and grenades. Kang moved like a weapon himself, each shot precise and lethal, protecting her while Leo led them toward the panic room. But Chen had planned well. They were pinned down in the hallway, bullets chewing through walls, when Chen appeared at the corridor's far end with 5 armed men. He demanded Kang surrender and reveal the ledger's location, threatening to torture Elara until she told him everything. Elara heard herself speak, her voice clear and strong despite her terror. She claimed the ledger had a dead man's switch that would automatically release all information to law enforcement if her father was killed or if she failed to disable it. It was a desperate lie, born from 3 months of studying how these men thought, but Chen couldn't afford to risk it. She negotiated directly with him, offering to lead him to the ledger in exchange for her father's full exoneration. She was betraying Kang's leverage to save his life, sacrificing his power to preserve his existence. When Chen and his men left, Elara collapsed against the wall. Kang asked the question that contained universes. Why? Why would you save me? She thought about the past weeks, about late nights working side by side, about moments of unexpected vulnerability, about the strange, twisted thing between them that wasn't quite trust and wasn't quite love, but was equally powerful and far more dangerous. Because you're the only person who's been honest with me, she said finally. You never pretended to be good. You never lied about what you were. My father lied, manipulated, put me in danger with his games. You just told me the truth and let me make my own choices. Kang pulled her to her feet, his hands gentle despite their strength. In that moment, surrounded by smoke and death and the wreckage of everything they had built, something shifted between them. He cupped her face with one hand, his thumb brushing across her cheekbone with unexpected tenderness, and she saw in his eyes the same recognition she felt burning in her chest. This connection forged in blood and truth and terrible choices. Then he kissed her, soft and deliberate, a claim and a question and a promise all at once. It lasted only seconds, but in those seconds, Elara understood she had crossed a threshold she could never uncross. She was no longer the girl who had infiltrated his home seeking simple justice. She was someone else entirely, someone who could stand beside a monster and call him partner. When they broke apart, she said, "Equal partners. We find my father's ledger together, figure out what's in it, and decide together what to do with it. That's my price for saving your life tonight." Equal partners, Kang agreed. But understand what that means. You step fully into my world now. The blood on my hands becomes blood on yours. The empire I've built becomes yours to maintain. And the enemies I've made will hunt you for the rest of your life. Elara thought about the girl she had been 3 months ago, the one who believed in simple justice and clear morality. That girl was gone, burned away in the crucible of truth and survival. In her place was someone harder, more complex, someone who understood that loyalty and love and justice weren't always aligned, that sometimes you saved monsters because they were your monsters, and that becoming complicit in darkness didn't mean you had lost yourself. Sometimes it meant you had finally found who you truly were beneath all the lies you had told yourself about who you should be. "I understand," she said, "and I accept." As dawn broke over the city, painting the smoke-filled sky in shades of orange and pink, Elara stood beside Hyun-suk Kang in the ruins of his penthouse and felt something that might have been freedom. Not the freedom she had dreamed of when she first came seeking justice, but something stranger and more real. The freedom that came from accepting the truth about herself, her father, and the complicated, morally compromised world they all inhabited. She had come seeking justice and found something far more dangerous instead. She had found partnership with the devil himself and discovered that sometimes that was exactly where you needed to be to finally understand who you were meant to become. What choice would you have made in Elara's place? Let me know in the comments below. If you love dark romance and high-stakes stories, like this video and subscribe so you don't miss our next story.